Black Out Loud Media Group. Say the title of the poem and then jump right into it.
What's up? It's Mr. Enlightenment, the Kilowatt Poet. I want to share a little poetry with y'all. This poem is called Let There Be Light. I remember my mom used to call me home before the street lights came on. Now I feel at home on stage when the lights are on. Senior year undergrad, that's when the light came on. Time to illuminate. I write like I'm afraid of the dark. My pen is a light bulb, a match waiting for that spark. When I start to shine, I don't plan on flickering. My brain is a generator, ready to kick in like an NFL punter. Try to take my shine, I got enough radiance to go around. I'll even pass it out like free samples. Like the first attempts of Neanderthals trying to create fire, you probably fizz out before you replicate me. When someone closes the gap, it's time to increase the voltage, become more ultraviolet. For every sunrise is a sunset, but not if I can help it. Prepare for my summer solstice. Let there be light. Lights out.
Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog, and if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it.
Shout out to you for inviting me on Brown Sugar Cafe.
Of course, man. You know I had to get you on here. Man, what's been going on? It's been a minute.
Man, just promo game. Just going hard with it. I got this book I just came out with called Flicker Poetry.
Yeah. And it's called, you said Flipper Poetry?
Flicker.
Flicker? Of course. How did I not know that?
Yeah. So if you've been seeing my posts on social media, it all kind of developed into a style of mine. You know, micro poetry. You know about it because you post a lot to the different blogs and different pages.
Yeah.
I kind of fell into the genre, basically, just wanting to post short stuff when Twitter was a thing and you had to have 140 characters. So I was like, how can I post something? Yeah, I don't want you to have to click on the poem and read a little bit more. I'm going to just try to stick it right there on your news feed and try to pack as much into that little space as possible. So I experiment with the haikus and other kind of types of poetry, but it kind of felt, it was cool, but haiku wasn't really my thing.
Okay.
So there's no real like method to it. Like I try to 3 or 4 lines, maybe 5, just kind of short poems that fit a certain topic. And I just try to say a lot in a small amount of words.
Matter of fact, Twitter is how we connected. I just remember that.
I remember like following people and just like, oh, that was you. Like, so later on, I realized like, oh, the face behind the handle.
Yeah, because the first time that we actually met, my wife thought that I had already met you in person. And I was like, no, this is my first time meeting him. And she was like, wow, y'all talk like y'all were old friends. I could have never imagined that y'all just met for the first time. I was like, yeah, it just be like that when you connect with poets or somebody who shares a passion of you. When you finally do get to meet in person, it's like meeting up with an old friend.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because I talk to a lot of people. Just it's almost like the comfort level and not seeing someone you can no preconceived notions. It's just we just connecting on something that we both enjoy.
Yeah.
Just getting some laughs. Sometimes it's just some laughs on.
Yeah.
Retweeting this or retweeting that and just spark a conversation.
Let's go back to where you said you started doing short poems because of Twitter. That's something I never knew. I just thought maybe that was a style, but I remember when they had a short amount of characters. So how did you go from that? And I don't think you still tweet, but every now and then. Okay.
I used to go over there and just like see what everybody else talking about.
Uh-huh.
And I'll just like just it's basically for laughs, man. I'll see somebody talking about. So Twitter never died, man. Twitter is like
No.
Jason almost keep coming back.
Yeah.
Celebrities on there doing stuff, and the former president was on there tweeting. It was like that still was a thing, even though Instagram was kind of the more popular thing, but
Right.
Twitter was still around. People would still tweet. I know I watched Sports Center a lot, ESPN, so a lot of those sportscasters would still tweet, and they would share on their show. So I just I keep, every now and then I'll post something, but it doesn't get the kind of interaction that I used to get when I was on there all the time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I still enjoy it.
Yeah, because back in the day it was a lot going on, man. A lot of people were on there, and it was even recently before Elon took over, it was a fun place. I mean, you find out information fast, you can connect with people. I found this a really good place to connect with other podcasters and bloggers. The podcast community has really grown over there, so it's a good spot for podcasters. And the poetry scene is still kind of cool, but it's nothing like it was when we connected. It's a little different now.
Yeah, I remember going on there and just follow the hashtag. I'll just follow the hashtag.
Right.
See what I can find.
That's where hashtags came from, was Twitter. Yeah. Most people don't understand that. They were using the hashtags on everything else, and they weren't what do you call it, hyperlinking and turning blue.
Yeah.
And then Facebook kind of developed that, but I'm like, hashtags on Twitter had actual purpose. Like, you follow hashtags, you look at hashtags, and you can see what the conversation is about.
Yeah, so like you said, man, I interact with some people. I think when I first started doing, I got some books that I put together just kind of independent, no barcode or nothing. It's more like a pamphlet almost.
Like a chapbook, yeah.
Yeah, like this one guy got me into it, and I kind of took, the information he gave me, and then I just happened to be talking to my mom one day. She's like, yeah, I can kind of help you with that too. So I started getting her to do it. So I put together like 3, you could say chapbooks, but I wasn't going through a company or nothing. It was just me.
Right.
And I was just word of mouth, selling it like that. And I kind of transformed from that, and I went into CDs, and I started posting.
Yeah.
Starting to record it, because I kind of gave more life to the words to me, just because when I was out at open mics, I would see, a lot of especially the poets that would be traveling, and they would be more veteran poets, they would always have a CD with them. I was like, I got a CD for sale. So that's what kind of got me in the thing. I want to think about recording. And then when I got in the, makeshift booth, like going to a friend's house, record, and it was fun. And when you listen to it back when it was recorded, I was like, it was almost like a new poem on me.
Yeah, because you have some stuff on, I know on Spotify for sure, but is it on all streaming platforms?
Yes, all platforms, man. Pandora is kind of tough to get on, but Tidal, Apple Music, Amazon, I'm on all of that stuff.
For those of you who don't know, he's not only a poet, he's a spoken word artist. How did you get into spoken word, and what has that experience been like for you?
So I started off just, I had I think we know, I think you know him too, Serious 6.
Yeah, I went to high school with him. Yeah.
Just following him on social media, and he was throwing poetry events, and when you start posting poems, and he'll comment on mine, I'll comment on one of his, and he's like, hey, you should come out and do something. So I was around 2010. So I came out and did my first open mic show was with him. And I remember going out, just being nervous and having a paper with me. And then I kind of graduated and started to take it in, kind of soak it all up. And I just noticed how poets without paper were able to just kind of put more into it. I feel like it was a better delivery. I was able to connect with the audience, because I'm not the best when it comes to looking down, looking up, and it's just not as smooth to me. So
right.
I kind of vowed to always have 1 or 2 poems. Now I do go out, it depends on what the environment is. If I'm in a poetry reading, everybody else got a book or something like that, I'll read too. So let's say I do a poetry reading, I would do like half reading and then half spoken word. But I always said like I had memorized 1 or 2 poems just to be ready. So if I go to an open mic, I want to do at least 1 or 2 that I memorized because I felt like the flow of it, the way I'm able to look at the audience, it just makes it. And I heard from 2 people close to me, you know, they kind of recommended that too. It's like, yeah, you should memorize yours because, you know, because it's kind of hard. Like I'm still not great. You know, the more you do it, the better you are. But
Right.
you know, when you look up and then you got to look back down and you got to make sure you're on the same line, like it is hard for me to look up and down because when you get into the poem, I usually get, you know, bad part about it. Like you get 2 in the poem.
Yeah. That's a good part. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and it worked out in your favor though, because the way you deliver, and especially, you know, from memory, man, it works for you. So, hey.
And it's tough, man. That was so hard. Like to this day right here, like I have kind of like I got my group of poems that I memorized. You know, some of them get a little rusty when you don't do them for a while.
Right.
But when I got to tackle a new poem, it's a tedious process. But when you get it, it's nothing like it to me.
Yeah, man. And speaking of Series 6, I really hate that I didn't know that was him, because I remember being invited to Serious Sundays and I was like, nah, I'm doing something else. And looking back now, I wish I had joined, at least went, because I would have saw that a bunch of people that I knew were there. And I'm hearing stories like this. As a matter of fact, now that we're talking, I think that he was the one that told me to hit you up on Twitter. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, yeah. And I'm just like, man, I missed this whole scene of stuff that was going on. And everybody that I talked to talk about it says it was a lot of fun. And I was like, man, Tony, I didn't know this was you the whole time. I think when I found out it was him, the last show was coming up and I was nowhere near. So I couldn't even go to that. So, man. So just imagine if I don't know. I guess just imagine if I had started then, but started, you know, the whole spoken word journey thing. Because it's still kind of weird for me. Like, I'll do it, but it's just like, I don't know.
I mean, everybody got their thing, man, because there's a whole group of poets that just read. Like, you know, they always say paper poets.
That's me.
Spoken word. So, hey, whatever you do, you master that.
Yeah.
People are good at reading, and then you got the people that are good public speakers. When you writing your speeches and all,
yeah,
they look down, and they able to look up and kind of. I think the trick of it is you know it well enough that you're able to look up and still keep your place. Like that's the hard part for me. Looking up and then coming back down to the paper. That was always the hardest part for me.
Right. Yeah. Because when I used to present papers and stuff in college, I had to do like that. So that part's cool. That part's easy for me. I guess for me, the whole spoken word thing is like I see, like I said, spoken word artists expressing the words how they're, you know, supposed to be expressed, the emphasis, and it's like pam, pam, boom. And I remember, matter of fact, you and I were talking about that, and you told me just what you said now. You was like, just remember 1 or 2 poems that you could just, anytime, you know, there's an open mic or something like that, you could just go ahead and repeat those. And I'm like, man, that's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, that works.
Different crowd, like, and I compare it to the music artists you love, because I start feeling like, man, like every time I go somewhere, I do these poems. And I remember how I used to go to Serious Sundays and other spots. People so familiar with the poem, they want to hear it. They would almost like say the words with the poet. Because if that poet came to the event all the time, you got your signature piece, and they would almost say it with the poet. And I was like, all right, well, people want to hear some new stuff, but they also love the ones that they remember you for. It's just like your favorite artist. Like when LL Cool J do a concert, nobody's asking LL for his new stuff.
No, we don't care about that.
Old stuff. So, and it's a gift and a curse too, because like, hey, I got a new poem. You want to hear it? Nah, I want to hear the other. I want to hear the old stuff you got. So,
right.
You know, you got to give them a little bit of the stuff they remember, and then drop a new one in there too. But you know how it goes when somebody talks to you and you're like, yeah, I write poetry. Hey, can I hear one?
Yeah.
They're always gonna ask you for it. So it's like, boom, I got one for you. I know you're gonna ask me as soon as I say it. Hey, can I hear something? So I always keep one ready. And I can
And I
say,
just
drop
I
it.
just go to my phone and just
Yeah, that'll work too.
I just go to my phone and read. But
You know what I'm saying? Back the smartphone days is cool, but before
yeah.
my phone was smart, I had
Yeah, you had to. Unless you had a pad on you, you had to memorize.
yeah, yeah. So now that we
Man,
got the Drake got the BlackBerry, so I
Blair,
can pull it up.
right?
Yeah, so now we got that. We got the notes. You got the note on your phone. So, hey, and now it's crazy because you, like you said, people used to have the notepad at the open mics. Now they have their phone on the mic. You see like video. You see a video or pictures of an open mic
Yep.
photography person. They had and you see the people on their own phone. So now we reading our phones, same kind of thing. You gotta be able to look up and then look down, but ain't nothing for somebody to pull out a phone and read their poem from their phone these days.
Yeah. Especially when you got like a lot of poems in your notes, or for me, I have a blog, so I can pull something from there. I prefer, if reading is just more comfortable for me to read from a notebook.
Right.
Like, I'm just old school like that. I mean, the phone is cool, but it's like the effect feels a little different for me. So
Yeah, because I still, when I do go, I do little writing sessions and stuff. Some people bring an iPad, some people bring a laptop. I still come up in there with a notebook. So I
yeah,
like to write. I like to write in a notebook. I still write in a notebook. Sometimes I jot stuff down on a Word document, but I don't. It's still, I haven't gotten away from writing on notebook paper and having little poems, little pieces of poems that I didn't finish.
let's talk about your new book, because you kind of slid that in there.
That's what
I
I'm
didn't
reading.
know. I didn't know you was working on it, man. Congratulations.
Yeah,
What
man. I
was
see you've been putting work in the author realm too. So that was always an idea. Like you said, I got the chapbooks, but they don't take you seriously. I didn't think
yeah,
I could say, I got this book, I got this barcode on the back. So now I can go to the public library and be like, hey, I want to have my book in there.
yeah,
So that's a little that was that certification. Like I got some CDs and all, but when you want to go to the literary side of things, I got this official book, barcoded, it's on Amazon. Now I can kind of do a little. I can go on some other areas with my poetry now. So that kind of was like a certified stamp I wanted to get.
how was that process for you? Like, how did you feel now that it's done? How did you feel going through it compared to
I
when
was
you did the
stuck so long.
chapbooks?
I was stuck so long. Just I had the idea, and it usually I think pandemic. I kind of thought about like, all right, I want to do this.
Right.
So all of the short poems that I was doing, like I said, I had them in a document, and I would just cycle through. Oh, let me go to usually like I'll come home late at night, hanging out, and I'll just jot some stuff down, and I will post on Twitter late night, just seeing what kind of reaction I get, and then the reaction I've been getting from Twitter and then Instagram. I know I went for like, all right, what you kind of a year later you can kind of see the impressions, the reaction.
Yeah.
Like this poem, yeah, I remember this one. This was good. I got good reaction. So I kind of went through, picked out a few. So I ended up with 30. Like, these are 30 solid ones that I like and people give me good feedback on. And then I started seeing a lot of the shorter poems, you got some little sketches to go along with. So I reached out to some art teacher friend. I'm an elementary school teacher too. So I had an art teacher friend. I was like, hey, I got some poems. I want you to, do a little sketch for me. So I reached out to this person and I kind of said, I want a variety. So I didn't want one artist doing all the sketches. So I gave like a fraction of them to one artist friend, a fraction to the other artist friend. And I was like, here's the poems. I want you to sketch something out for me. Because the finished product was 30 poems with each got a piece of artwork. So it's not like the most in-depth drawing, but the drawing represents the poem.
That's pretty good, man. I like how you didn't just use one person, you used multiple people. What was the inspiration behind this book like, as far as I know you explained like where it came from, but what was like, was it like a ultimate inspiration behind it, like something that really just really pushed you to say now is the time and I'm just gonna do it?
Well, it was a little different because, like I said, I already had the poems. I already wrote them.
Mm-hmm.
I already wrote the poem. So it was a matter of just going through my portfolio
Yeah.
and kind of giving people what I thought. Because everybody kind of like, I kind of became known for my short poems online. But then
Yeah.
when I go out and perform, I don't do the short poems.
Of
So
course. Yeah.
short poems are kind of what I'm known for. It's a way to I want to get your attention while you're scrolling. You know, the short poem, you don't have to go to another page. You can get it all in a matter of seconds. You post short poems like that too. So you can literally, they can get that immediate, like, I get it right there and there.
Yeah. That bam.
Yeah, it hit me right there. Like, oh, let me heart this. Let me favorite this. So that was cool. And just another way to present it, because I had already done the poems and I saw, just observing, I was like, all right, that's looks pretty cool. Because I already saw some poets that do the same thing. I was like, man, like I was always like in the DMs, like, hey, who did your artwork? Like, I want to know who did the artwork.
Right.
So I was like, that was interesting, like curiosity on that, like who did your artwork? So I want to do something similar. So that was the inspiration to it. Just being, like you said, the big poetry community on Instagram really got me into it.
Yeah, because when I post on Instagram, I'm also post like haikus. I love haikus in general, but I post like haikus, sincanes.
Yeah. So that was like a different little
Elf chins,
family.
Yeah. And for me, I like those because they have like a set of rules. So it kind of forces me to come up with something within those guidelines. My favorite, style of poetry would be freestyle, but when it comes to like short poems, I kind of do like a freestyle, maybe here and there, but for the most part, it's going to be a haiku. My wife always laughs at me because she can tell when I'm writing one because she sees my hands counting out the syllables.
Yeah. So that was the cool part. Like, I could do like a haiku, but when I started seeing, like the way, because it was kind of like you would have like a sentence and it was just a continuation. I was and I was like literally looking at some people that really did haiku like the traditional way.
Yeah.
Like, because like I see a lot of poets, they'll take a couple lines and you just break them up. So that's kind of what it is. And then you break it up and then you start it, or it's like an overlap and then you put a comma. So I was like, that's kind of, it wasn't as smooth for me when I would do a haiku.
Right. Okay.
So I didn't want to say this is a haiku because I'm not following the rules exactly. I'm not counting syllables no more. But I got like 4 or 5 lines, and by the end of the 4th or 5th line, I want to have my whole thought already delivered.
Yeah. And you do a great job with that too. It's like when you get to that last line, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's that. I mean, it worked out. Like, I got so many, poems that I look back year later, 2 years later, because then you see the memories.
Yeah.
Like, that one wasn't as good. I wish I would have done it differently, or maybe I try to redo it after I read it again or look back at it. So it's definitely trial and error.
Oh, yeah, man. It's always a learning process. I think if anybody does anything and you think that you've arrived or you made it, then you've already failed. Like, it's always so much more we can learn. And especially when it comes to any type of writing, it's always different things you can learn. And it all comes with growth too. When we grow and we go through different experiences, we may not see things how we saw them when we wrote it 4 or 5 years ago compared to now. I mean, even with things that we might have saw negatively, we might see positively now, and vice versa. So, how do you balance being a teacher and a poet?
And poetry definitely takes the back seat. So I try to use the summer as a poetry time.
Okay.
So if I do want to, like, I had pre-pandemic, I was like, all right, I'm about to start traveling. I'm about to,
Right.
use this summer to hit the open mic, because open mics are on random nights of the week. Like, I can't go to Columbia on a Tuesday or on a Sunday. Like, it don't work. So I'll just networking. I'm adding these poets. They're hosting other cities. I think I was in a Facebook group. I was like, all right, cool. Jacksonville, that's not too far. Atlanta's not too far. Charlotte's not too far. Columbia's right down the street. So, and just trying to like connect with enough poets in those different areas. And I was like, all right, I see this open mic. It seems pretty cool. I'm gonna take a trip. So I started.
Oh man. So you be doing it.
Hey, pre-pandemic, that was the goal. I was
Yeah.
getting back. Like, I would shoot down to Savannah. I already had an open mic that I had already kind of researched.
Yeah.
Already did it a couple times. Columbia, I had already researched it, knew a little bit, went there. So one summer I was real busy. At the end of the summer, I kind of posted, these are the places I went. I ended up doing poetry in Orlando just because my friend had to go down there. So now I'm almost I want to travel more anyway. But
Right.
now I kind of why not kill two birds with one stone? While I'm going to Orlando, let me look at the open mic spots. While if I want to go to New York, there's a couple open mic spots that I want to hit. So when I go to a city, if possible, I want to check out the poetry there.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, while you there,
To be honest, that makes sense. That makes a whole lot of sense.
you're already there. You're already there, man. Just look around. Put on Facebook, ask the people, hey, do I know any poets in this city? Is there any open mics in this city? You hashtag it and somebody might chime in.
Yeah. It's time to take this poetry on the road.
That's what I'm saying, man. Then, if it's not too far, pack me a little bag with some merch in it.
Yeah.
Hit the road.
That's what I was about to ask you next. So the merch. And that was one of the things when we connected. Like, I had seen your t-shirts before. What was the concept behind your logo, and how did you get into the merch game?
So I was just sitting around with some friends, and I think I seen, poets with their own t-shirts.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have something like when I perform, I wanted to have a shirt to wear. So I decided to make some shirts. I gave them out to my close group of friends and people that used to come. When I first started doing open mics, I had a group of people that would just like come, check me out, watch. So I was like, all right, cool. I made like 20 t-shirts, gave it out to my friends. And then I started getting good feedback from it. And I was like, all right, let me make some more. And then I was like, oh, people, would you buy this? And then people was like, yeah. So I started building from there.
Yeah, because I think the first t-shirts I saw were was it Thomas Edison is my homeboy? Yeah. What was the concept behind that, man?
It was always light related, man. So, Mr. Enlightenment is based on my poetry and my day job. Because, when you are teaching someone, you're enlightening them, giving them information. And then when you get an idea, they call it a light bulb moment. So that's kind of where it came from. And then, even though I've been corrected over the last few years, historically, we've been told Thomas Edison invented the light bulb.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm already talking about all things light. Thomas Edison's my homeboy. He should be my homeboy. He invented the light bulb. So that's what we came with. And it was right at a time when those Jesus is my homeboy shirts was out.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember those.
Like a play on that. And then they had like Tebow. I remember when Tebow was big.
Yeah.
Tebow was my homeboy. So that was like a popular phrase to use. So I went with Thomas Edison as my homeboy.
Got it.
So it's definitely a crazy, merch is definitely crazy, but if you hit because people like it. And I started comparing my prices to, let's take the neighborhood brewery or the neighborhood bar, and you start looking on their wall. Every bar or let's say food place, let's say Swig and Swan, because I go there.
Oh, yeah.
Swig and Swan got merch. So So I like always, when I'm always in a bar or restaurant, I'm looking around like, where's their merch at? Like, what are they selling? Like, how much they selling this hat for? How much they selling this T-shirt for? So I'm trying to keep it comparable with them, because somebody will pay something for a Jim and Nick shirt more likely than they'll pay for you. So
Yeah.
you gotta find something catchy. So you got to find something catchy that somebody would wear, because usually you see nobody really want to wear your name. Like if I had the Kilowatt Poet on a shirt, necessarily people wouldn't want to wear it. So it's gotta have a catchy design,
Right.
something cool, little saying. People love these little puns and all of that, wearing puns and shirt. So it's got to be something clever, and people will buy it, man.
Okay.
And it helps to. And me and a friend of mine were talking about this too. I didn't want the shirts to be more popular than the poetry too. That was a catch-22, because people rocking these shirts and like, what's the point of the shirt?
They don't even know. Yeah.
You don't connect it to the poet.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see. Like, oh, that's a Kilowatt Poet. Yeah, I heard of him. I know him. I seen the shirts. I seen the stickers. So after all these years, like, it's been a slow burn. Now people starting to like, oh yeah, I remember that shirt. I saw you on Instagram, or I saw your sticker here. I saw you doing a performance here. So now it's finally starting to connect.
Sometimes that's all it takes, man. Just putting your stuff out there, and then you have that full circle moment. Do your students know that you are a world-renowned, city to city, state to state, spoken word artist, poet?
To break it down to them like that, I do kind of, because I just tell them I like music,
right?
I like poetry. So I was doing, like, I would rap here and there for the kids. Like,
okay.
Yeah, I would rap for them. So that kind of the wordplay, that's kind of poetry came to me more like I was a fan of rap.
Yeah.
So I was not like a poet by origin. I think I'm more like a rapper. If anything, down. I didn't want to be like, take it seriously. I'm trying to do a demo or nothing like that. But if you listen to enough rap music,
with
friends, you're gonna try to rap. I'm watching Rap City.
I had my book of rhymes, Rap City the Basement. Yep.
I want to get in the booth. I'm seeing they do it too.
Yeah.
Friday, stuff like that. And then your teacher will let you kind of write a rap or something for an assignment.
Yeah.
So I had all of that. And then you go to sports, the locker room, when you're on the bus, going to the game.
Yep. Lunchroom, beating on the table.
Yeah, everybody rapping. So I kind of think my wordplay and ability to put words together came from just listening to some of my favorite rappers. Cause I was a big fan of the lyrics. Even though I grew up in South Carolina, I was late to the down south rap.
Like most of us. Yeah.
More Wu-Tang.
Most of us. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like New York rap.
Yeah.
When I finally got into it, like listening to country rap tunes, and then even I kind of gravitated to the southern rappers that was still spitting lyrics, even though I like to enjoy the Little John, the crunk music. But I always will be one of the people that you can pick up on something. Like, I'll hear a bar, or I'll hear a lyric, and I'll like, oh, I caught that. Like, a lot of people don't catch the stuff.
Yeah.
You gotta have an ear for it. People that write, you understand, like, double entendre right there.
Yep.
The simile right there. Like, I see the personification, how you were making this seem like something else. Like, I appreciated that on my rappers when they did it.
Yeah, because man, that was all of us. Because when you think about it, that's all you really saw was up north rap. I was telling my wife the other day that Wu-Tang was my favorite group.
Sure.
And after Outkast came out, that was it. Wu-Tang moved to number 2.
Yeah.
And it was just something about Outkast, man. When they came out, they were from the South.
It sounded like you, little.
Yeah. They love Cadillacs. I love Cadillacs, and it was just something about it. And ever since then, but before Outkast, I mean, it was just like up north. You had Wu-Tang, you had Jay-Z, but that's all we saw. Biggie, just rappers like that in the South really didn't have anybody and then it was the Surgeons, because I mean, you had the Hot Boys, of course. I rock with them because they sounded like us. They kind of looked like us a little bit, you know. Like we were wearing the Willie D's, the white Willie D's and tees, and they was wearing the soldieries, yeah, and the white tees, and their accent is kind of like ours. So remember when Master P, they came and killed the scene.
Yeah, I was No Limit. I was loving No Limit too.
I didn't realize P was putting out that many albums a year until I saw the little special like he was putting out. And I remember every time you would get like a No Limit CD,
Yeah, they'll show you all
show
the
you, yeah, and it would come out. You know how
yeah,
like some CDs that have people in the back and they never came
never
out.
came out. It was a few of them that never came out, but a lot of them did though.
I definitely can see the comparison between, some people say it's not, but I think y'all tripping. Like rap is a form of poetry.
Yeah, take away the music. If you take away the music and just look, let's say I would open up Jay-Z rhyme book or whoever wrote. Jay-Z didn't write, supposedly don't write like that. But when Jay-Z was a young rapper,
Yeah.
sure he had these pieces of paper. That's poetry.
Yep.
You put music to it though. So
Yeah.
you strip the music from the rap and it's poetry basically.
Exactly. Some people like there's a difference. I mean, like you said, the only difference is the music.
I don't know. When I first started doing poetry, people were like, yeah, I do poetry. People wasn't actually into poetry like that.
Right.
There's a few people who are, you gotta like, they're starting to get a little more, but at the open mic, it's people who like poetry.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to be, all right, then they kind of had to package it as a party to kind of get more people out there. But then he's like, oh, I know it's gonna be a lot of women out there. It's gonna be a party afterward. So I gotta sit and listen to the poetry. And now, like, oh, I'm open to it.
Yeah.
You're listening to it. Because now, when you were in high school, poetry was Shakespeare and that stuff.
Yeah. Robert Frost and
I don't even know what it's about. My teacher had to break it down. So I vowed that my poem should never be something that you couldn't understand. Now, there might be a deeper meaning, but
right.
There's something that you can get on the surface. I don't want to have to be up there saying something and you have no clue what I'm talking about.
Right. That's important to me too. Like the poetry that I share, I might have some more complex stuff in like my notebooks, but I always wanted the poetry I share to be digestible. I don't want people to have to run to a thesaurus or a dictionary to figure out what I just said. Those complex pieces are cool, but I want to reach people and I want people to feel my words and I want people to understand. I want people to see something in my poetry that they can relate to. And hopefully there's something in there that can help them. Now, if I'm using a whole bunch of words that are complex, trying to be all deep and technical, you may lose some readers.
For sure, man. Like going back to the Wu-Tang aspect, I really didn't know what Ghostface and Raekwon was talking about all the time. It sounded good because they were fly and they were rapping.
Yeah.
They was talking about, they had their own slang and
yeah.
A lot of that stuff went over my head because Only Built for Cuban Links, even though I loved it as a high school kid,
yeah,
I didn't understand the whole, like, this is drug dealing, this is a drug dealing album, like this is a soundtrack for a drug dealer. Like, I got it, I understood it. I was just listening to the music. The music
right.
was cool. The undertones I didn't quite get.
Yeah.
Older. So they were talking stuff that I didn't quite understand, but it sounded good. That's why you put the nice beats to it. You forget about the lyrics, put a nice beat to it, and it was their flow and like their style. It was just something I never heard.
Right.
So I loved it. But there was a few people in there like, oh, now I listened to it. I was still catching the wordplay and stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that they were talking about, it went over our heads. It's like when we were young.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been listening to it anyway, probably.
Yeah. Like these TV shows we were watching, and that as a kid we were just laughing.
Yeah.
Like it was stuff that we didn't understand at all.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but I know Coming to America for sure. It was some of the jokes that like you said, I laughed at, but when I got older, I really understood what the jokes were about. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess when you do anything, man, you have to kind of understand your audience and kind of gauge it towards that. I mean, it could be some things that you make simple, but it'll still maybe go over some people's heads. So, which is cool.
That's the complicated part.
Yeah.
Do you realize, like, I was looking at, because when you do like when you turn your page to like a creator page or whatever,
Yeah.
you can get the demographics.
Yeah.
I realize that my page is mostly like women.
Of course.
You realize that, like, I guess a lot of men aren't into poetry unless you write poetry. Like, the average man is not really all about poetry. Like, they like it per se, but
Right.
at the open mic spots, most guys are at the
You know
poetry
it.
event because it's a nice date night, or you write poetry.
Right. That's true. Or you know a poet and he told you, hey, come out, man, check me out. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. Before I let you get out of here, let the people know how they can contact you, where they can purchase your book, your merch, all of that.
So I got a website that I need to definitely put more updates to, but that's kind of the central location. PastorLight.com.
Okay.
PastorLight. So PastorLight.com. I'm on Instagram a lot. That's kind of my favorite app right now. At Kilowatt Poet. Facebook, I got a fan page, Mr. Enlightenment. And then I kind of changed my creator, my personal page became my creator page now. So when reels and all of that. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Facebook's pretty good, but Instagram is probably my most spent time. So Kilowatt Poet merch, just check out the page, and I'm doing a lot of hustling out the DMs right now.
Okay.
I'll graduate to my own like online store. That's a process that I've been dragging my feet with, but I've been pretty successful. Just I post a lot of promo pics. Like what I've been doing, I was able to get people to offer I'll usually do a little bit of asking. Like, I don't want to be over persistent, but when you do buy some merch from me, I'll say, hey, I appreciate you taking the picture with it.
Yeah, of course.
So I do a lot of posting. When they take the pictures, I do a lot of posting. That gets a little bit of attention. People say they like it. If you like the status or something, or like the picture, I usually follow up like, hey, I got some merch, would you like it? Or they might ask me. Then I've been shipping it all myself, kind of like doing everything. Kind of a one-man show right now. So, the book, Flickr Poetry, is on Amazon.com. And I bought some copies myself.
Okay.
Now, if you are in my social network, you can get the book straight from me. I'll ship it to you. But I did use Amazon, so
right.
People across the world, if they come across my page, they got access to buy it from there too.
Got it. Yeah, I gotta get me a copy. I didn't even know you had a book, man. Appreciate you for coming, hanging out on the show. And to all my listeners, remember, keep pushing forward. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.